Let's install our RAM. Locate the DIMM slots on your motherboard. So these are the DIMM slots like we discussed before. I have 4 slots available here and I have 4 RAM sticks. Let me pick those up. Here's my RAM sticks. And of course, they're in my anti-static bag. Let's take them out. So as mentioned before, this build, we're going to use DDR3 RAM. All right. One thing I like to do before I install my RAM is to make sure that I align these slots with my RAM slots. So that way I'm not going to be forcing those in when it's time to install. So if you see right here, your slots are right in the middle. So something I do is before I put it in, just visually make sure that you got this right, then align the rest of your RAM sticks to the same position like this. Just want to go like this, and like this. That way, you're not going to be damaging your pins if you pick your RAM sticks up and accidentally force it in. So now we've got that. We're going to put this in this slot right here. Line up the pins correctly and push in the RAM until you hear a click. You know it's secure when both sides of the RAMs are locked in place. And there's something else you should know. Your slots right here, they're both black and white. We're going to stick to using the white slots. There's 2. And we're also going to put this one right here. There you go. You've securely fastened your RAM inside your motherboard. Next, we have our hard drive. In this example, we're using an SSD SATA hard drive instead of a HDD. We just need to use one SATA cable to connect it to our motherboard. So first, I'm going to go ahead and slot this in this cage. This is going to vary from case to case. But this one's going to be easy. All we have to do is just slide it in like so. And normally you'll hear a click like that. Once that's in, we just need to use one SATA cable to connect our SSD to our motherboard. Let me go and get that. So here we go. Here's a SATA cable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this end to our SSD. I'm going to connect this end to our motherboard. There we go, it's in. Remember, SATA cables can only go in one way. So now that we have our SSD installed, let's go ahead and install our case fan. And this is how this looks like. One thing to note is the Molex. You're going to go ahead and find a label on your motherboard that says rear fans. Not all motherboards have this, but in this example we do have that, so just a note. Get those into the grooves. There you go. My fan's installed. And now I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the Molex. There we go. Now my fan is attached to my motherboard. For best practice, you want to create a wind tunnel that takes in air, blows it over your components, and then pushes it all out back. Check out how our heatsink has a fan on it too. That's pretty normal since our CPU generates a lot of heat and we want to help cool it off as best as we can. We're almost done. Now we're going to connect our power and test to see if everything's working. So let's grab our power supply. Here we are. First, let's secure our power supply to our case. Be careful not to damage the motherboard when you install it. What you're going to do is you're going to put this in slowly like that. And then just slide it in. There you go. So one thing I like to do is I like to put my cables all the way up to the side So like I mentioned before, it's not going to go ahead and damage the motherboard. So now I'm going to go ahead and start securing my power supply. It's always fun getting it. There we go. So as you can see, I normally like to go ahead and start with my fingers so it's easier to get in. And then once I put all my screws in, I'm going to go ahead and use my screwdriver and fasten it. Tighten that. There we go. So let's go ahead and tighten our screws right here. So 1, 2, and 4. Great. So now we've secured our power supply to the case, so it's not going to move anywhere. And just another note, you can also install the power supply before adding it to the motherboard, depending on how your case is laid out.